Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. I'd like to welcome everybody to the Lighthouse Project. I have to say that I'm still excited to be here every week. Really, truly grateful that I'm part of this program and part of this project.
And we're grateful that you're here.
Thank you, Mario. I appreciate it. Tonight's class is part of Avodat Hashem B'Simcha, and we're winding down this series. This is probably going to be the one before last, and then we'll touch on a different subject. It was an absolute beautiful journey going from beginning to end. As we continued this journey of Avodat Hashem B'Simcha, especially following last week's class of unity and its importance in the Jewish nation, both locally in our communities and beyond, I felt that this series would not be complete without an honorable mention of the most famous day in Judaism, the most unifying and memorable day of the week, the main event of every Jewish household. This day has been celebrated and kept sacred since the beginning of time. The super spiritually packed 25-hour period that comes around 52 times a year. The source of all the blessings. The day God rested. Yom Shabbat Kodesh. Tonight, I would like to reintroduce you to the beauty of Shabbat. The power and blessings available on this day. And unravel some hidden secrets of this magical day that Hashem gave to us as a gift. And there's no better way to rediscover your Jewish identity than to plug in for 25 hours and truly feel the holy day of Shabbat. I'd like to take this opportunity to give an honorable mention of tonight's generous sponsor, Mr. Mario Spaznik, who's doing this in the merit of Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel Ben Sarabatia, and happens to be in the room with us tonight. Truly an honor. As well as DJ Acquisitions, which is part of our Issachar and Zvulun sponsorship for the Refuah Shlema of Menachem Mendel Ben Sarabatia and the War of Fega Bat Rezel. This particular class has its own unique sponsors that we are connected to. We have H&M Builders, Mr. Joseph Dornbush, who's doing this in honor of his grandfather, Yosef Ben Yehuda. And we also have a very special woman, a righteous woman, who we're going to keep anonymous, but it's a mother who is on the right track with Hashem. Hashem is in her life, God is in her life, the Torah is in her life, and she's sponsoring this class in honor of her boys. Yonatan, Michael Ben Stacy, Eliyahu Ben Stacy, Shalom Ben Stacy, to the merit to become Talmidei Chachamim. I think once again it's beautiful that a mom will take her hard-earned money, give it to a Torah center so people can learn and share the Torah, so her own children can merit to be Talmidei Chachamim. Ashrechem Yisrael, God bless the Jewish women and everything that they do, as well as Refuah Shema from Menachem Mendel Ben Sarabatia and Devorah Bat Fegel, and for all of those that are out there in Facebook world, please like and share. Why? Because you have the ability to pass all this Torah over to somebody else, and all it takes is one little Torah nugget to turn a person on. So go ahead, share away, like away, as we begin our class of Shabbat, the source of all the blessings. I did not think I was going to speak about Shabbat, but you just can't get connected to being Jewish, being on the right track of Avodat Hashem, Besimcha, if you're not connected to Shabbat. I did some research, and I want to take you on a different way of seeing Shabbat. Whatever it means to you, put it on hold for an hour and just see how this day has evolved up until here today. And I'd like to take you on a spiritual journey of Shabbat. Something very, very interesting. Did you know that originally each day consisted of 28 hours? It's true. Each day had 28 hours. But when each day saw the importance of Shabbat and its lofty honor given by Kadosh Baruch Hu, they all wanted to merit to be that day or to be part of that day. So in order to avoid conflict, Hashem took 4 hours from each day in order to form a 24-hour period that would complete Shabbat. So let's do a little bit of math. There are 6 days times 4. How many 6 days times 4 hours? 24 hours. And if each day gave away 4 hours, 28 became 24. That's how we got the 24-hour day. Now, 4 times 6 equals 24 hours, and 7 times 24 equals the 1 week. Now, this way, they couldn't be Shabbat, but they definitely became part of Shabbat. Later on, Shabbat had a claim on the weekdays, saying all the weekdays have a partner. Sunday has Monday, Tuesday has Wednesday, Thursday has Friday. Shabbat was left all on its own. Hashem says, I'll give you a partner. Your partner will be Am Israel. The Jewish nation is going to be your partner. And Shabbat had this partner in this world. A day got married to a nation. Am Israel is the groom, and Shabbat is the bride. Whoa. Think about it. A nation marrying a day of the week? Think about it. But it's deeper than that. It's actually deeper than what we think. You know, in Shabbat, we have a Kiddush. And it says on it, I'll read it and I'll explain it. V'shamru b'nei Yisrael et ha-Shabbat, and the Jewish people kept the Shabbat. La'asot et ha-Shabbat adorotam b'rit olam, to keep the Shabbat for generations, a symbol or a sign forever and ever. Beni uven b'nei Yisrael, between me, God, and the Jewish nation. Ot hi la'olam, it is a symbol, a sign forever and ever between me and the Jewish nation. Ki sheshet yamim asa Hashem et hashamayim v'et haaretz, because for Hashem in 6 days created the heavens on the earth. Uvayom hashavi'i shavad v'inafash. On the 7th day he rested. Now, what we want to get from this Kiddush, it says that Hashem created the Shabbat, and this Shabbat became Ot Hi Le'olam. It is a sign, it is a symbol between God and the Jewish nation. Shabbat is a symbol. It's like a covenant between the creator of the world and the Jewish people. These are very lofty concepts that we're just going to go over. But in reality, if you sit down and you think about it, what's going on over here? So this Ot Hi Le'olam, this symbol between God and the Jewish nation, in other words, translates to this. Hashem created the world in 6 days. On the 7th day he rested, as if, we say, as if he rested, right? And because he rested, and because he commanded us to rest, So on Shabbat, we show ourselves, we show our families, we show the entire world that there's a creator. And we, the Jews, testify to his existence and his commandment of the rest on the seventh day by keeping the Shabbat. So when they see us walking down the street on Friday night or on Shabbat afternoon, and we're dressed so fancy, and we got our kids in our hands, and we're walking to shul, what do they say? They look at us and they say, he's Jewish. He believes in God. He's keeping Shabbat. That's what's happening over there. That's what happens. That's what we're projecting on Shabbat. That there's a creator to the world. And for all the evolutionists and creationists that don't believe in God or a creator, and believe that everything just came into existence by random combinations of events, I ask one question. Why does the week have 7 days?
That's the way it was divided.
Why? Why not 10? Why not 21? Why
Because
7 days?
he rested on the Sabbath.
Well, yeah, but this is not a person that believes in God.
Oh,
I'm talking about an evolutionist who just came from
the monkey.
From the monkey. How can we have a 7-day work week?
The solar year had to be divided somehow.
Divided by 10. A day is a day. Why 7 days?
Because
Because 7 is natural. And
Right,
eight-
only if you believe in God.
he's talking
If you
about
don't believe in God, what is your...
That's when the sun goes, that's when...
That's 365.
No, but
the moon then.
That's
the
290 and
Earth turns around in 24 hours around the sun.
Right, what does it have to do with 7 days? Why is the week 7 days? And this is why a question, and this is a question that trumps most people that don't believe in God. I don't know why there's 7 days, but we know. Because Hashem created the world in 6 days, and he rested on the seventh, and it's always going to be like that from the day that the world got created. And the people that don't believe in God will never have an answer to why the week has 7 days.
Okay.
I should note something else that is very interesting and unique to the Jewish culture and religion. Our days start at night. Not at midnight.
Sundown.
That's right. Like tonight at around, what was it, 8:30? It's actually Thursday. But what do we call it here? Wednesday night. Think about that. But for example, Erev Shabbat, Friday night before Shabbat, when does it come in? It comes in at sunset. Shabbat starts Friday night. It seems like on Shabbat it makes sense to us. On Shabbat, Friday night, yes, Shabbat started now. But yet we don't do that for any other day of the week. See, people, Jews, still have a hard time understanding this concept. But on Shabbat, it's understood and followed, and as it's stated in Bereshit, Vahi Erev, Vahi Boker, Yom Echad. Where do we get this? This concept that the day starts at night and continues into the day? Because Bereshit says that's Hashem. Vahi Erev. First it was night. Vahi Boker. Then it was day. Then it's one day. It was calculated from the night to the day, and then when it came dark again, that's considered one full day. Now.
But that also has to do with the lunar calendar.
We follow the lunar. And the way you keep Shabbat, that's how Shabbat keeps you. The way you act, behave, speak, during that 25-hour period will determine the outcome of the entire week. For example, we just did a little bit of math, right? So we said there's 144 hours in 6 days. If you take 6 times 24, it's 144. Now, we said Shabbat is 25 hours. So if we take 6 days 144 hours divided by Shabbat, 25. It comes to 5 point whatever. In other words, anywhere between 5 to 6 hours. What does it mean? One Shabbat hour is equivalent to about 5 or 6 weekday hours. Now, so if someone got mad on Shabbat, which by the way is a sin, not allowed to get mad on Shabbat, okay? During the upcoming week, he'll have a block of time of about 5 to 6 hours. He's going to have to deal with anger. If someone had a very successful learning session in Shabbat, during the week he's going to have a very successful learning session prolonged throughout the week. If someone is keeping his Shalom Bayit, in other words, it's Shabbat, he's having a moment with his wife, or vice versa, and he's holding himself back, he's going to have Shalom Bayit the entire week. If he doesn't, it's going to be a rough week in that house. Try not to get angry on Shabbat.
Not even if your kids are acting up.
It's a challenge. It's a challenge because, first of all, getting angry on Shabbat is a sin. Secondly, you know that you mess up here for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, you don't come Tuesday, it's going to be there waiting for you. You're just planting the seed. Shabbat gives the chayut, the life, to the rest of the week. And the Zohar says, anyone who gets angered on Shabbat, which again is considered a sin, it's as if he lit the fires of Gehenom on Shabbat. It's as if that person actually took a torch, went over there, and lit up the stoves. The Zohar says that. As a matter of fact, anyone who takes a Siddur and reads the
Commentary?
not the commentary, they have over there some Zohar
Reference?
pieces that you can say before Kiddush, that you can say before the Seudah, that you can say before Birkat Hamazon. And over there, those Zohar excerpts talk about these things. This is actually, I'm bringing it from the Zohar that says, that is being read on that Friday and Saturday. That's why I'm mentioning it over here. And it says over there that anyone who gets angry on Shabbat is as if he actually lights up the fires in hell. Whoa. Now, speaking of Gehenna, I'm using this language and maybe I'll hold you back. If you just don't get angry 1 week on Shabbat, we did our job here. You know? Speaking of Gehenna, you'd be surprised to know that not only the Jewish stores close on Shabbat, it's not the only ones that close down for business. Gehenom is also closed for 25 hours. Wow.
Isn't that when all the souls are happy because they come out of Gehenna?
Yeah. For 25 hours, the souls in hell get a day off on Shabbat. Allow me to say wow again. It's like, we're saying it nonchalant, but this is heavy duty stuff. However, the Zohar says that there's a special section that still stays open for the select group of people, on the ones that didn't keep Shabbat, in Pharesia. What's Pharesia? In public, on display, no shame, no remorse, proud to not keep Shabbat. They go out there, yeah, I don't keep Shabbat. That's right. So the Zohar says that Gehenom on Shabbat is a special place for them. Reason being, you didn't rest on Shabbat in this world, you don't get to merit to rest in the next world. In other words, you didn't care about Shabbat over here, we're not going to give you a rest over there. Now, for those who are keeping Shabbat right now, amazing. God bless. Keep going, don't stop. For those who are not, Teshuvah will set you free. Do Teshuvah. Come back. You get to rest on Shabbat and get saved from hell. Sign me up. Simple. Simple. If you believe in an afterlife, if you believe in heaven and hell, and if you don't want to go to that place, and we all know some people kept Shabbat, some people didn't. But every day that you're here, you have a chance to what? To get saved. How? Say, I'm keeping Shabbat. And by keeping Shabbat, you become part of that group that, God forbid, should anyone go to that place, off. Otherwise, the fires don't stop burning. Now life is what you make it. We have bechira chofshit, free will to choose. You have free will to choose your reality. And eventually, you become a product of your choices. Just as the Shabbat has the power to elevate you, heal you, rejuvenate you, renew you on a weekly basis, and the day becomes Oneg Shabbat, the pleasure, the enjoyment of Shabbat, a day of spiritual and physical enjoyment. The flip side of Oneg is Nega. If you take the word Oneg, it's Ain Nun Gimel. Boggle the letters around, it becomes Nega. What's Nega? Like a punishment. In other words, anyone who resists the keeping of Shabbat eventually sees and feels the repercussion of avoiding this day. Like we said, Shira Chofshit, your choices are what dictate the outcome of your life. Here we have the concept of Shabbat. What are you going to make Shabbat? Oneg? Spiritual and physical enjoyment and connection to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Or Nega? Punishment? It's up to you. And the rabbis tell us, Kol hashomer et ha-Shabbat ki'ilu mekayem et kol ha-Torah kula. Anyone who keeps the Shabbat, it's as if he keeps the entire Torah. Ve'kol ha-mechalel et ha-Shabbat ki'ilu kafar bechol ha-Torah kula. And anyone who doesn't keep the Shabbat, it's as if he went against the entire Torah. As if he denies the entire Torah. Okay, wow. Again, imagine you keep Shabbat, it's as if you kept the entire Torah. Now we know we live in a generation, you say Torah, Taryag Mitzvot, 6:13, you tell them, okay, narrow down, V'afta l'reacha kamocha, I can't, okay, keep Shabbat as if you kept that entire book. Imagine, what a shortcut. But does that mean that I can do anything I want during the week and then I just keep Shabbat?
No.
Chas v'shalom. This concept of keeping Shabbat is like keeping the entire Torah, is when it's coupled with Teshuvah. Shabbat is connected to Teshuvah. Look, Shabbat, Shin Bet Taf. Let's boggle the word. Taf, Shin, Bet, Tashev, Teshuvah. Shabbat is also part of Teshuvah. You're coming back. This is like the opportunity to come back to yourself, to your true self. The Pasuk says in Devarim, Perek Lamed, V'shavta ad Hashem Elokecha, v'shamata bekolo. It says that you should come back to Hashem, your God, and listen to His words. In other words, there's a mitzvah of teshuvah. The Torah tells us you have to come back wherever you are. Come back. Shabbat is connected to teshuvah. In other words, if you say, you know what, Hashem, whatever I did up until today, it's behind me. I'm coming into Shabbat. I'm keeping Shabbat. It says, you know what, that Shabbat, it's as if you kept the entire Torah. But on Monday, you keep on that track. You're going towards being a good Jew. You don't go back out on Monday and you're at McDonald's or you're, doing all the things that the Goyim are doing. Hashem is giving you this amazing shortcut. Keep Shabbat, you keep the entire Torah, but as long as you keep on that track. So like we said, Shabbat is the opportunity to come back to yourself, your true self. And if you ever wanted to feel connected to Judaism, to your true Jewish identity, discover Shabbat. Discover the beauty of Shabbat. The Kedusha of the day. The tranquility, the family, the food, the unity of the Jews on Shabbat. The spirituality that's achievable on that day. The healing of Shabbat.
The rest?
The Shabbat afternoon shlof. Need I say more? Is there anything better than that Saturday nap, Saturday afternoon nap? See, on the surface, it looks like we rush and get ready for Shabbat all week. And once it's here, the men go to shul, kids in tow, we come home to a 3 or to a 7-course meal, depends on your heritage and your customs. You have family and friends draped around the table, you have singing, good food, good wine, good company, divrei Torah on the table. And nothing compares to Friday night sleep either. It's also one of the sweetest sleeps you'll ever get is Friday night. And you wake up again, Shabbat morning, you have shul, you dress to the nines, everyone's happy, friends in shul, singing, Torah, Kiddush. Once again, another lavish meal with friends and family, Shabbat songs, divrei Torah, sitting with the kids, catching up on the week and connecting while disconnected from the regular grind. The sweetest afternoon nap in history. Again, the afternoon shluf. An hour or two later, we make our way back to shul to do a little class, and then again, mincha, seudah shlishit, arvit, havdalah. What a day. We've just gone through 25 hours of relaxation, had 3 mega meals, reconnected with fellow Jews, and recharged spiritually. And now it's back to the iPhone, and back to being overstimulated every second of every minute until the next Shabbat, where you get to feel being Jewish is like, even if it's just for one day. However, what is really happening here on Shabbat? What is spiritually hiding in this day? Allow me to explain. Time is not a timeline. Time is a spiral. In other words, if you take, we're in 5,777. It's not like year 1, year 10, year 100, year 1,000, all the way to, it's not like one long line and time is passing us by. It's actually 1 year that is constantly looping around. It's 365 days that are going in a circle. Now, there are days that have more power than other days. I'll give you an example. Yom Kippur, the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah, Rosh Chodesh. These are days that have very strong spiritual energy. I'll give you an example. On Yom Kippur, why is that the Day of Atonement? Because that's the day that HaKadosh Baruch Hu forgave the Jewish nation for Chet HaEgel, right? Moshe Rabbeinu came down, Hashem forgave us. So on that day, we have the spiritual energy for forgiveness. So every year when it comes around, we know this is the day for forgiveness. We tap into it. Throughout the year, there's many of these days. Some come once a month, some come once a year. Shabbat is one of these spiritual primetime events. They come around once a week. Every time it loops around, there's a special, unique energy that's available on that day. So, Shabbat is a weekly main event that is packed with opportunities to get elevated spiritually. It all depends if you're plugged in. Allow me to take you on a 25-hour spiritual journey of Yom Shabbat Kodesh, the source of all the blessings. It begins on Friday night on Mincha. Mincha happens to be the strongest, the Mincha of Mincha before Shabbat, right? Happens to be the strongest prayer of the week. Did you know that?
Yeah, you brought it up in your Teshuvah class.
That's right. I actually mentioned a lot of what I'm mentioning here tonight is things that anybody who's taken my class before has heard before, but I'll never stop saying it. This is something that I'll constantly promote. If one more ear hears it, we're good.
So even if you say Mincha at 2 o'clock in the afternoon or 3, it doesn't matter. It's still the strongest.
The strongest prayer of the week is Mincha before Shabbat. As a matter of fact, on that mincha before Shabbat, what you should do, you should stand over there and you should say, Hashem, timchol, tchaper, tislach, on all the chet, avon, v'pesha that I did. What does it mean? You're standing right before going to a very holy day. You don't want to walk in dirty. You want to walk in clean. So how do you walk in clean? You want to get rid of what you did during the week. So you tell him, Hashem, forgive me for my chet, avon, and pesha. What's chet? Chet is a sin you did by mistake. Avon, you did it on purpose. Pesha, you brought more people with you. You caused other people to sin. So telling Hashem, forgive me for all of those. Forgive me for each one of those and allow me to come into Shabbat clean. I want to tap into this energy, but I don't want to be sullied by what I'm bringing from the work week. Forgive me. It's a good time to do teshuvah on that. And each one should always look at the week and be like, you know what? I got angered on Tuesday. I wasn't honest on Wednesday. I don't know why. I'm not so sure about what I did that Thursday night. And come in and spill your guts. Say it. Teshuvah, part of teshuvah is admitting it. You have to admit it. Otherwise, if you're just going to say, Hashem, forgive me, you know what I'm talking about, it doesn't work. You have to spell it out. So try to take a couple of moments and just say, you know what am I asking forgiveness for? Be real with yourself. Don't take all this information, become robotic, and walk into a prayer like, okay, I heard this class, but try to actually activate what we're talking about over here. Take your sins with you to shul. Bring him with you into the Amidah. And when it's time to repent, repent. Activate. Don't just go through it like I'm reading and I don't know what I'm saying. Fine. But I'm reading, but I know that today I'm going to ask for forgiveness. Because I'm trying to have a special Shabbat. I want to get plugged in this Shabbat. So it starts with that mincha. Yes?
Is that why a lot of religious men go to mikvah on Friday afternoon?
Right. So yes. The mikveh on Friday afternoon for men is because there are 5 parts to the human soul. Jewish soul. And it's nefesh, ruach, neshama, yechidah, chaya. On Wednesday, we get an extra piece, which is nefesh. Thursday, we get another special piece, ruach. Friday, we get another special piece, neshama. On Shabbat, we get them. I'm going to go into it over here. I'll let you know when we get those extra pieces of neshama. A man that goes to a mikveh on Friday afternoon, first of all, it's spiritually cleansing for the neshama, and it's a better receptacle to accept these additional neshamot. It's better for him. Not only that, men sometimes have emissions, whether it's in relations with the wife or whatever, for medical reasons. It's a good way to clean it up. You become a cleaner vessel. You become holier. You dip, you come out, you feel like you just took a shower, you just dipped in the pool. But your neshama just got completely dry cleaned. It's like sparkling white. So it is a custom, and it's a good custom.
So in the case that we pray Shacharit, is good that we pray Mincha too, or we can replace, instead of to pray Shacharit on Friday before Shabbat, we pray only Mincha.
Here's the deal with women. You're very special because you take care of families. You're not as obligated as men. You might want to take 1 or 2 things that you learned today, or maybe take everything, and each week try to activate one. I don't know how women can do all this and still run a household. But you might want to say, today I have time to activate this thing on Shachrit. Next week Musaf. Next week Mincha. We're going to get to it, but you should try to get one. If you can activate everything, bless me at the end of the class, but if you could just choose one, it's very good. Later on, I have a whole section just for women. After Mincha, we have Kabbalat Shabbat and Arvit. What's Kabbalat Shabbat? We all think, Lecha Dodi likat kala, Pene Shabbat nekabela, Lecha Dodi likat kala. Kala, there's the queen. There's the queen. There's the bride. Friday night is our wedding. Every Friday night we get married. What do? We say, boy kala, boy kala. Who are we talking to? Remember in the beginning of the class, I told you, we married a day. On Friday night, we do this invisible thing where we turn around and we say, boy kala, boy kala. What is that? We're marrying Shabbat. We're telling our bride, come to me. Come, hand in hand, let's walk back. Shabbat is here, you're mine today. That's what's happening on Friday night. It's a wedding. And around that time, in the tefillah, is when you get another extra soul inside of you, an extra piece. They say, nefesh yetara comes inside of you. You can't feel it, but it's happening. After Arvit, we're walking home. But we're not alone. We got a couple of angels walking with us. We have an escort, an angel escort, from shul straight to the dining table. They're walking with us, each person, a good angel and a bad angel. And as soon as you open up the door, you're supposed to say, Shabbat Shalom Umevorach. If your parents are there, kiss their hand. Big, big, big secret, kissing your parents' hand. If you have children, teach them to kiss your hand. On Shabbat, it's a big, big deal. In the beginning, they get uncomfortable. I'm not a rabbi, I'm not a rebbitzin. What are you doing? Tell them, that's what it is. There's a big, the rabbis teach us it's a big deal to kiss your parents' hand on Shabbat as soon as you come in from shul. Now, as soon as you come in, you're saying your hellos to the family. The angels are checking out the house. They go into the bedroom. They want to see if the bed is made. They go into the dining room if the candles are lit. Is the table ready? They come over there and they're checking out. They see, did everyone change their clothes? Everyone got their best? What happens? We say, Shalom Aleichem, Malachei Hasharet, right? That whole Shalom Aleichem. Who are we singing to? We're singing to those angels. They're flying around the house and we're singing to them. They're peaceful angels. Now what happens? If we did all those things, made our beds, fixed the table, changed our clothes, the good angel says, may it be like this next Shabbat. And the bad angel says, Amen. He has to agree. But if it's not, the bad angel says, may it be like this again next week. And the good angel says, Amen. Make your beds, fix your table, change your clothes on Shabbat. Don't disappoint those two angels. You know, the last line, it says, when you leave in peace. They say people that have shalom bayit issues, don't say that last line. Don't ask them to leave. Because they're angels of peace. Don't say Betzetchem l'shalom. Beshiftechem l'shalom. Stay with us. Stay with us. Most people won't notice if you don't say that last line. God forbid, sometimes Friday, right before, there's like such tension, you come home and it continues. So you ask those angels, help me out a little bit. I won't say Betzetchem, I won't ask you to leave. Keep that in mind. We make it to the table, we're doing Kiddush. This is very interesting. Kiddush is ideal for tshuva. They say right before you bless, and we could do 10 classes just on the Kiddush of Shabbat. But they say make you teshuvah right there. There's sometimes it's a big thing that you have to do teshuvah and make sure before you bless Hashem. Forgive me for what I did on Tuesday. Forgive me for this thing that I'm wrestling with. Do your teshuvah right before you do that. It says it's an auspicious time for teshuvah right before Kiddush.
And why do they look at the candles first and then say the Kiddush?
Because it restores vision.
It restores vision?
Masechet Brachot says, look into the cup, look at the candles, and it restores your vision. If you looked at things that weren't proper, if you were doing things with your eyes that you weren't supposed to, as you're doing bad things with your eye, you lose your vision. So you just did teshuvah, you're good, you just did an unbelievable prayer, right? So what do you want? You want your vision to come back to you. The Gemara Masechet Brachot talks about what's the ratio of the vision that you lose, the ratio that you get back. They talk about a person who walks a certain way, then he's like very haughty, he loses vision a certain. It's very interesting. But look at the candles and look at the cup for whose blessing it restores vision.
Why do the Sfarim say L'chaim?
L'chaim? L'chaim?
Yeah,
L'chaim is very interesting. Well, first of all, it's a custom. Sabri Maranad. L'chaim. You know what? You asked for it, you're going to get it. Why do we say L'chaim? Back in the days, when there was a criminal and he did something bad, and he came in front of a court of Jewish judges, and it was time for him to go. What they would do is they would give him wine. Wine back then is not what we get today at Publix. It was heavy wine. Wine that had a lot of strength. And they would give that person a sip of that wine in order to numb him or dull him so he won't feel the pain of what's coming up. So before they would deal out the punishment, they would say, Savri Maranan. In other words, what do you all say? And they would say, Lamavet, to death. And he would drink it, and that would be the end of him. Nowadays, what do you say? Savri Maranan. What do you say? L'chaim. Isn't that interesting? Besides the wine, we have the chalot. You have to understand the chalot. We have 2 on Friday night, 2 Shabbat morning, and 2 in Seudah Shlishit.
That's 6, doesn't it equal up to the days?
Exactly. So the chalot of Friday night correspond to the parnasah of Sunday and Monday. So when you're doing it, you want to have a good parnasah. Oh, I should have a good parnasah on Sunday and Monday. And this will continue to during lunch, Tuesday, Wednesday, Seudah Shlishit, Thursday, Friday. So I'm giving you some tips that if you really want to get connected, if you want to have something to do except for just waiting for your piece of bread, I'm gonna bless for this. I'm on this bread, and I want it to be that the parnasah will be good for Sunday and Monday because this is the Friday night. You wanna have these moments. You wanna have moments on Shabbat. It makes it special. Now, something else that is very, very special on Leil Shabbat is right after the father makes the kiddush, all the kids line up. Why? To get a blessing. See these hands? They got power on Friday night. They have magic on Friday night. On Friday night, right after you do the kiddush, the kids line up, and the father says to the boy, Yesimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim Menashe. And for the girl, he says, Yesimech Elohim ke'Sarah Rivka Rachel veLeah. We give the blessing that Yaakov gave to Yosef's children to the boys, and we bless the girls as well, that it should be like the matriarchs. And the way that it starts is the kids come, they kiss the parent's hand. Because we said there's a secret in kissing the parent's hand on that night. You put the hand on their head, you give them a blessing, and if you want to personalize it and go even more and say, my son, I'm so happy and proud of you, Be'ezat Hashem, you should grow up to be a tzaddik, and there should be a big success in your life, and you should have good health in your entire life, and you should be happy and Eved Hashem, and always want to be on the ways of Hashem. You don't just personalize it for your daughter, that should be a tzaddiket, that she should always be modest, and she should have good health, and that she'll grow up to be a good mother, and a good sister, and a good all the whatever comes to your mind. Custom make it.
And it works.
And of course, you know why? Because 20 years later, that blessing that you said on Friday night on the table finally gets cashed in. And here comes the blessing that should always be healthy, and the girl gets to be healthy on that day because of the mother's blessing from 20 years ago on the Shabbat table. You better believe those blessings are going to come true. They're just waiting to get activated. So anytime you have a chance to bless your children, bless your children. Pray for your children. Shabbat is a great, great time for that. After, I see that we have all adults in the room, a little bit, but after dinner, some people call Shabbat mitzvah night. And the reason why is that tzaddikim, the people that are really connected to heavy-duty spirituality, only have relations on Friday nights or on Shabbat. Mostly at night. Relations for religious Jews is at night. They don't do it during the day. Why? Because there's something very unique. A tzaddik that has relations with his wife after midnight on Friday night The soul that they merit for the child is a brand new soul. Not a recycled gilgul, something that got reincarnated many times over. Brand new. Take the plastic off. So tzaddikim, on Friday night, they stay up 1:30, 2 o'clock. Why? Just to merit to have a tzaddik for a child. That's also something that's available only on Shabbat. Can't get that on a Thursday night. Shachrit comes around. Here comes the morning. And we're trying to activate over here Berov Am Hadrat Melech. In other words, that we're praising Hashem in masses. When there's a big group of people and we get together and praise Hashem, that's what we're trying to be a part of. And Bo'u lefanav birnanan. David HaMelech in Tehillim says, come in front of Hashem with song. The way to worship Hashem is in song. The Ashkenaz sometimes just whisper the prayer and they just come alive at the end. You go into a Sephardic shul, and that's fine. Then they have their, no, definitely, I've prayed many times in the Ashkenazic shuls, and they have their songs, and they have their hymns, and all that. Go into a Sephardic shul, oh my God. It's amazing. Go here, 30, 40, 50, 100 men, go for it. Saturday morning. Unbelievable. What a sound. Sometimes you get the chills. Why? Because you see that these are all people that are connected right now to a tefillah, and they're all singing with all their hearts to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. You catch that magical moment at the right shul, it'll change your life. It'll change your life. Sometimes walking into that right shul at the right time will change your life. Now, during the tefillah, we sing a lot, and we also get to take out the Torah on Shabbat and hear the weekly Torah portion. But when we open up the Echal, something very unique happens on Shabbat. Okay, names of the men, names of the ladies, who's sick? And all of a sudden everybody yells out names of people that are sick on Shabbat. Why? What's the deal with people calling out sick people's names on Shabbat? The reason why we do it on Shabbat is because Shabbat היא מלזעוק ורפואה קרובה לבוא. There's healing power on Shabbat. There's power of refuah, to heal, to actually get better, medically, physically, on Shabbat. That's why we do it. That's why we mention people's name, aunts, uncles, brothers, sisters, anyone that you know, neighbor. Why? Mentioning their name at that particular time when the Echal is open gives them health. Better than a doctor's appointment.
More on Shabbat than on, let's say, Thursday.
More than any day. More than any day. More than any day. The pasuk says, Shabbat hi milizok. Shabbat is the day that you scream out, please give me health. V'refuah, and health or healing. Krova lavo. It's near, it's coming. Shabbat. Then we hear the rabbi's midrash. We hear over there, he talks about the weekly Torah portion. So there you are. You're learning Torah. You're learning Torah directly from the rabbi. And right after that, we have the prayer of Musaf, which is very unique to Shabbat. Musaf, what's unique about Musaf? It says over there, you know, in the regular Amidah we say, Nagdishach v'naritzach, right? When the whole crowd stops, we say, Nagdishach v'naritzach, right? That's regular Amidah. In Musaf, it's a different one. We say, Keter. Keter itenu lecha. Okay. What is unique about Keter itenu lecha? In Hebrew, it means a crown they will give to you. What is this crown they're speaking of? So basically, the hidden secret over here is that throughout the weeks, if you count how many prayers we say, how many berachot that's Amidah, how many berachot we say in our prayers throughout the week, it comes out to exactly 620. In other words, if you pray Shachrit, Mincha, and Arvit, properly, front to back, everything, eventually you'll come out with 620 blessings that come in prayers. Who knows Gematria over here? Who knows the numerical value of letters? Let me help you out. The word keter, crown in Hebrew, is chaf is 20, taf is 400, resh is 200. 20 plus 400 is 420, plus 200, 620. 620 is exactly the word keter. What are we doing over here? Every week on Saturday night, you get a crown, and it's naked. There's nothing on it. And as you start to go out through the week, every time you say a bracha, you add another jewel, and another jewel, and another jewel, and another jewel. Each bracha that you make is a jewel. And then when it comes to Musaf of Shabbat, what do you say to Hashem? Keter, here's the crown I created for you this week. Here it is, Hashem. 620 brachot of the weekly prayers. Keter itenu lecha. We're all giving, each one is giving a crown to Hashem. Some give with 7 jewels. Some give with 200 jewels. Some give with 620 jewels. But that's what's happening. All the prayers are here until Shabbat in Musaf goes up. Keter itenu lecha. Now, right after Keter itenu lecha, I have to say this so you can understand what's going on over here. The text goes like this: Tikanta Shabbat ratzita korbonotea. I'm just going to show quickly over here. Pay attention that what's happening here is each word starts with the Hebrew alphabet going backwards. You have the Taf, Shin, Resh, Kuf, Tzadik, Pe. In other words, Aleph, Bet, Gimel, Dalet would be going the proper way. Taf, Shin, Resh, Kuf. That means we're going backwards. What is the secret over here? So, in Musaf, in the Amidah, right after you do Keter itenu lecha,
yes.
That's the next part.
Before Ayeh or before?
Right after Ayeh. Ayeh is another part where you get another soul, another a section of the soul. So what is this Tikanta Shabbat? For this, I'll explain to you something very interesting. Aleph is the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Okay? Bet is the Aleph covered 1 time. Gimel is the Aleph covered 2 times. And so on and so on and so on and so on up until you get to the Taf. Taf, it's the Aleph covered 400 times. Aleph, they say, is Alufo Shel Olam. God gave us a neshama. When we go out there during the week, He gives us that Aleph, that neshama, right? And all of a sudden throughout the week, we do what we do. We sin, we do things that we're not supposed to. He gave us a white suit. We come back on Friday, it's black. He gave us an Aleph, we give it back to Him what? A Taf. So what happens here in Musaf? Musaf, there's the dry cleaning. Hashem says, take the Taf away, take the Shin away, take the Kuf away. By the time we finish over here, look what it says. It says, V'gam ha'ohavim devarei gedula b'charu az. This tefillah, you're taking away all the layers and you came out of it an Aleph. That means brand new. Musaf, you're handing in the crown and you're peeling away all the levels of what you dirtied yourself with the previous week until it comes out. This tefillah shoots you out as an Aleph. Now, after that, we leave shul, finish praying, and we go to our lavish meal, honoring the Shabbat like no other day. Spicy fish, meat, chamid, wine. You know how it is. You hold the chalot. Now it's what? Tuesday, Wednesday, right? You got things to do on Shabbat. You're sitting down, family, achnasat ochrim, and then you have over there the kiddush of shachrit. Kiddush of Shachrit, what does it say over there? Very interesting. It says, we read it before. Veshamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat, and the Jewish people kept the Shabbat. La'asot et Shabbat edorotam beit olam, to make it a sign, a little covenant between Hashem and the Jewish people. Beni ubeni said, Oti lolam, ki sheshet yamim asa Adonai et hashamayim ve'et haaretz, because Hashem created the world in 6 days, the heavens and the earth in 6 days. Uvayom hashevi'i, and on the 7th day, Shabbat vayinafash, he relaxed. Right? So what's the Shabbat vayinafash? We have a mitzvah to relax. Go to any Jewish home, you'll see 2 o'clock, it's a ghost town. Everybody's like, even the kids are sleeping. There's something on that day. There's something about that Saturday afternoon shluf, that Shabbat afternoon little nap, that's rejuvenating sleep. It's healing. Your body's like fixing itself more than any other day. It's reinvigorating, it's revitalizing, it's like a healing rest. There's something very, very special in that sleep. I wake up completely different from it. I'll take a nap. I don't take naps. But if I do take a nap during the week, nothing close. I don't think I even get to close my eyes properly. I'm like halfway up, halfway sleeping. On Shabbat, you feel like your neshama is she's going for it.
Well, after a
There's
couple
something
glasses
that
of
pulls you
wine,
down.
And the food coma, of course, we help it along. There's no question.
Something pulls you down. No question.
But how come when you wake up from that nap, you feel like you could conquer the world?
That's the magic of Shabbat. I don't know. You see, only people that tap into the energy of Shabbat can speak like that. Only a person who experienced that can know that. Otherwise, you tell a guy, oh, come rest on Saturday afternoon. What? Saturday afternoon? No, it's 2 o'clock. A Jew that keeps Shabbat looks forward to it. He knows that his body is healing those hours. Something is happening at a much higher level. I'm not just taking a nap. Something big is happening over here. I'm also making a mitzvah. Shabbat v'nafash. Hashem says rest. It's a day of rest. Typically, right after we wake up, we go to a shiur, we go to a class. Now, after such a meal, after such a gathering, a person is usually out for the count, out for a few hours. When the goyim are done after such an event, that's it. There's no getting up from that. They ate, they drank, they're done for the day. What do? Get up. We gather our kohot, we gather our power to do what? To go to shul, to study. It says, the Ben Ish Chai says something very, very interesting. The Ben Ish Chai says, Limud Torah b'Shabbat gadol 1,000 pa'amim mibiyom chol. He's saying learning on Shabbat is 1,000 times more than a weekday. Okay. For example, tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up in the morning, I'm going to go to Shul Be'ezat Hashem, I'm going to sit down, I'm going to study for 2 hours. You know what credit I get? 2 hours. On Shabbat, I'll wake up in the morning, I'll go to Shul, I'll study for 2 hours. You know what it counts as? 2,000 hours. 2,000 hours. People that know, don't give up their studying on Shabbat. You tell me where you can get such a deal in this world. Where can you get such a deal that you get credit? 1 hour gives you 1,000. The Ben Ish Chai and many, many rabbis in Chazal, there's even opinions that it's 10,000. I'm using the lenient, most common opinion of just 1,000. So imagine if you give yourself 1 hour on Shabbat, you deposited 1,000 learning hours in the heavens. Don't pass up on learning on Shabbat. Huh? Amazing credit. It's compounded learning. We're up to Mincha. Mincha, this is the one. This is the main event. Mincha is Mincha of Shabbat. They call it Minchat Shabbat. Re'avad Re'avin. It's the most powerful prayer of Shabbat. We said that Mincha is the prayer of the week. But what's the most powerful prayer of Shabbat? Mincha. Why? Again, on the surface, we could say, I just had a meal. I just want to leave me at home. You got up, you beat your physicality and your yetzer hara, and you got up and you're in shul and you're praying. Of course, you can get credit for that. But it's also an auspicious time. Mincha is always a more powerful prayer than any other ones. Because Shachrit, you wake up in the morning, you go pray. Okay, easy. Not for some, but most of the time, easy. Arvit, anytime it gets dark, whether you go to shul or on your own, 2 o'clock in the morning, you can still pray. You could pray up until dawn. So basically, you can do it right before you go to sleep, after work. No. Mincha, you got to stop what you're doing during the day. You're in the middle of work, you're in the middle of making money, in the middle of running around. 2:30, I have to find myself in shul. It's very hard. It's a challenge. And on Shabbat also it's a challenge to find yourself going over there. So they say...
Or to walk in the heat.
Yeah. So you can imagine the reward of Ravad Ravin. So they say it's the most powerful prayer of Shabbat. For this one, you don't want to walk in like a deer in headlights where they start the thing, but it's over and you didn't have a chance to do anything. Prepare for this one. Prepare for this Amidah. It's the most powerful one. And don't pray for Hashem, I've got a business meeting on Tuesday, make sure I close that deal. That's not the prayer for Mincha of Shabbat. What you want to do is you want to pray for holy things. Hashem, open up my heart to the religion. Hashem, let me learn Torah. Hashem, teach me Torah. Hashem, make it easy for me to keep Shabbat. Make it easy for me to feel Jewish. Make it easy for me to leave my goyish personality behind. Pray for holy things. Pray for things that don't connect to the chol. And right after that, don't pray for things that are mundane. And right after Mincha, typically what do we do in Shul? Seudah Shlishit. Seudah Shlishit, Thursday, Friday. Those are the two chalot right there. Right? And these are the three Seudot of Shabbat are a must. I don't know, for some reason people opt out of Seudah Shlishit. But meanwhile, it's a must. Each meal corresponds to one of our patriarchs, Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. Friday night is Yitzchak. Morning, Shabbat morning is Avraham. The Seudah Shlishit is Yaakov. And the rabbis tell us that these meals build emunah. If you are lacking faith, if you don't feel like you believe, you want to have faith in the Kadosh Baruch Hu, eat 3 meals on Shabbat. The food gives you emunah.
Kosher food.
Of course. I'm talking to a room of...
Is there any other comments?
All right, it's a Nistar. It says over here, if you look at the Hakdamot, the things that you say before each meal, it says over there in Aramaic, Atkinu seudata de mehimunata shlemata. What does it say? It says here we are fixing the meal of emunah, the meal of faith. And before each one, we have this nusach that says it. Shabbat hishoresh emunah. Shabbat is the root of faith and belief. If you keep Shabbat and you eat the 3 meals, you'll understand Judaism. You'll feel Judaism. It's the root of Judaism. As a matter of fact, if you read also over there, Seudah Shlishit, what it says over there, it promises to save. This is Seudah Shlishit, only because a lot of people, Friday night, easy. Oh, yeah. Everybody shows up to that one. Shabbat afternoon, they'll show up. Seudah Shlishit, you start to get the people with the excuses. Look what they say about Seudah Shlishit. Anyone who eats Seudah Shlishit, it promises to save you from Armageddon, from Milchemet Gog uMagog, and promises peace with no hardship. There's going to be a time when there's going to be a 3rd world war, and it's all going to go crazy. There's going to be a big war, lots of bombs, lots of bullets. The world is going to be crazy. We're going to be part of that scenario. What do you want to happen to you? You want to be saved from it, right? You want to have like a protective little bubble over you that when you're walking in the street, nothing pertains to you. You have to believe that it's possible. The rabbis tell us that's what's going to happen. A God-fearing Jew, he will see people fall into the left and to the right and nothing will happen to him. And the land of Israel will have a little bubble over it where the bombs are just going to bounce off of it. If you ever do a class on Gog uMagog, it's like eye-opening. It's like a Hollywood movie. It has nothing on what we have in the Zohar. It has nothing. So they say, if you want to get saved from that, you know who gets saved from that? The people that sit for Seudah Shlishit. Eat Seudah Shlishit, you're part of that club.
Rebbe Young Rice also, she used to talk about that.
It's true.
It's a given.
Now, we get to Arvit.
Excuse me. For example, the people that in Seudah Shlishit don't eat the same for them or no?
So a meal, is considered in one way. It's when you eat bread and drink wine. That's a seudah. More so is the bread. You have to eat bread. If somebody for medical reasons or he just can't, I can't eat mezonot. But seudah is considered bread. It's funny you should say that. It's leading up to the next point. You see, when we pray Arvit and Havdalah, it's the first prayer of the new week. As soon as you get out of that of shul and it's Arvit, now you can pray for the worldly things, for the mundane things. Let that one rip. If you had a really good Shabbat, and you're really connected, Hashem, this week I want to be, I want to pray. I want to make sure that I go to a minyan. I want to try to catch 2 classes. Hopefully, I listen to a class on YouTube. Please let me make a mitzvah and let me get that meeting on Thursday to be successful. Let me, let me close that deal and let me have shalom bayit with my wife. Let me have good hatzlacha in the education of my kids. Let it go. Let it go. You were plugged in on Shabbat. Continue getting plugged in for the first prayer of the week. Now, right after that, most people do Havdalah either in shul or they do it at home. But what most people are also not accustomed to do is Seudat Melaveh Malka. Seudat Melaveh Malka is the 4th meal of Shabbat. And the 4th meal of Shabbat, this is the queen getting escorted back to heaven. Remember, she's with us, right? She's walking with us. He said, Boy Kala, Boy Kala. The time has come for the Kala to go back up. When does she get escorted back? In Havdalah. When? They say also the extra souls that have been inside of you have to go back up. When do they go back up? When you do B'wer B'nei Samim, when you go like this, they go, why? The smells to accompany them. Go. You want to leave with a nice smell, with a nice feeling. So when you sit there, for Seudat Melaveh Malka, this one is corresponding to David Malka Mashiach. We said Avraham, Yitzchak, Yaakov. The 4th Seudat Melaveh Malka is for David HaMelech. It's another lavish meal, and here is a true test of a Jew. Why? Friday, I can eat everybody's portion. Shabbat afternoon, I'm already slowing down. I could eat the meat, I could eat the fish, I could even maybe go for the chamin. Seudah Shlishit, whoa. It might be a little, roll and maybe some salad. Melaveh Malka, you're here. You've eaten like 3 mega meals in 25 hours, you're full. Here, it's not about satisfying your body. I can't eat anymore. Here, the Jew turns it and says, I'm going to do Seudat Melaveh Malka for the mitzvah of Melaveh Malka, not for the food. I'm not concerned with food. I'm a spiritual giant now. I just went through a 25-hour spiritual turbo boost. I'm not concerned with the bread and salads that are in front of me or the meat that's in front of me. I'm concerned of having the 4th meal that escorts, that is connected to David Malka Mashiach, that escorts the queen back home. That the rabbis tell us that this Seudah is just as important as the other 3 of Shabbat. So I say, I can't, but I'm going to do it for the mitzvah. And you sit there and you eat as much as you can for the mitzvah. Or, they say, who's smart sees ahead. So don't eat that much in Seudah Shlishit, and you don't stuff yourself. You don't have to stuff yourself. Pace yourself. If you know you want to pick up the mitzvot along the way, pace yourself. You can always say, I'm going to have some more later. We don't, because Shabbat, it's like, pace yourself, then it doesn't become like I can't anymore type of deal. And they say, whoever eats Seudat Melaveh Malka and lights 4 candles, teacup candles, for David Malka Mashiach, and does Seudah. Seudah is washing your hand, eating bread, and doing Birkat HaMazon. Big Seata Deshmaya, big help for Parnasah. And they say you can actually stand in front of that candle and ask anything that you want. But you have to be regular in the Seudah.
Easy childbirth.
Go ahead, ask for it.
It is.
It is?
It is. It's a given that women that do Melaveh Malka is easy childbirth.
Chidush, beautiful Rochelle. Now, you can see that part of having Avodat Hashem B'Simcha cannot be without Shabbat. Cannot. There is no better way to feel your true Jewish essence and true Jewish identity like during Shabbat. You need to draw from this Shabbat experience into the weekday. Like we said, Shabbat is Teshuvah. Every week you're coming back to your true self and recharging for the week. And you strive for the Shabbat version of you to be a weekday version of you. It's a day that once it's discovered and found, cannot be passed on. Close to 100% of every religious Jews that are surveyed will tell you that their favorite day of the week is Shabbat. It's definitely mine. You know, previously I felt like it was a burden. No TV, no phone. What are we going to do all this time? But once you tap into the true essence of that day, you can't live without it. I'll give you an example. Let's just say Bank of America tells you, Mario, tomorrow I'm opening up the vaults. Everything is open, and for 25 hours, take as much money as you want. What would you do for those 25 hours? Bags and bags and bags.
You wouldn't rest.
You wouldn't rest. Why? For 25 hours, you'd be filling up your bags with money and jewels because it's only 25 hours. Let me get as much as I can, because in 25 hours, Bank of America is closing the vault, and that's all the opportunity that I have, right? That's Shabbat. Hashem opened up the vault for you for 25 hours. Go take as much as you want. Let's go back. If Bank of America told you that you can come into that vault for 25 hours, would you tell them, wait, I'm going to go to the beach. You know what? I'm going to go play some basketball. You know what? I'd rather just stay home. Would you do that? You wouldn't do that. Then why would you do that on Shabbat? Hashem opened up His vault for you. Go in. Get as much as you can. The biggest source of all the blessings, the source of parnasah during the week, depends on how you keep Shabbat. There's a pasuk in the Chumash that says, Sheshet Yamim te'aseh melacha uvayom hashvi'i Shabbat Shabbaton. If anyone that knows Hebrew grammar, the word te'aseh means it will be done. So it says 6 days the work will be done. Doesn't make sense. 6 days we work. What do you mean the work will be done? So this pasuk is telling us that the way you keep Shabbat, the 6 days the work gets done for you. In other words, you're going through the motions, you're doing your ishtadlut, you're driving to the appointment, you're showing up to 9 o'clock, you're at work, but the work was done on Shabbat. The way you kept Shabbat, that's what determines what's going to happen Monday morning at 9 o'clock and Wednesday afternoon at 4 on that meeting at 4 p.m. Everything got determined already on Shabbat. It's all on how you kept Shabbat. From the word, we learn it from the word te'aseh. Now, many Jews with retail stores wrestle with closing the store on Shabbat. It's very tough for them. It's the weekend, busiest day of the week. How can you tell me to close my store on Shabbat? There have been countless stories of people that had the faith or had the spiritual awakening that felt the importance of Shabbat over the importance of money. You know, the Yetzer Hara likes to portray that the money comes on Shabbat. If you open up the store, that's where the money. But you have to make yourself believe that by keeping Shabbat, the money will come on its own. I'm going to share a couple of stories with you. Many stories that when people kept Shabbat, they doubled and tripled their earnings. Whether it was the next day, whether it was the next week, or whether it was by the end of the year. There's a friend of mine who had a store in Key West. There were several stores in Key West, one next to the other, all selling the same product. And eventually he started to keep Shabbat. And wouldn't you know it, after a certain period of time of him keeping Shabbat, after keeping Shabbat for a certain period of time, they decided, it's time to close the business on Shabbat. And there was a whole battle between the owners, how could you, and this, and the time. They decided that they were going to do it. And it looked so bleak. And it looked like, oh, you know, we're not going to be able to survive. How's it going to be? He told me one Sunday, we saw the true Hashgacha Prati that Hashem had in store for us. He said the next Sunday they opened up the store, and the guy that sells the exact same product as him is across the street. And the whole day, his competitor is standing outside smoking cigarettes, just no business. And he has lines of people. The register did not stop ringing on a Sunday. And what he made on Sunday is more than what they made on the entire week. There's another story of a gentleman in the Bronx that was also on a similar block where they all sold the same product. He happened to be a jeweler. And he was also wrestling with this whole thing, you know, keep Shabbat, not keep Shabbat, the business, you know, people shop on the weekends, you know, all the excuses. One day he decided, he said, you know what? I'm closing the store on Shabbat. That Shabbat, the entire block, including his store, went up in flames. Went up in flames. What made him keep Shabbat? You keep Shabbat, the Shabbat keeps you. I personally know people that work 6 to 7 days a week, including Shabbat. And they think that if they don't stop working, they won't be able to make it. And I personally know people that said, you know what? I'm keeping Shabbat. And nowadays they work 4.5 days, you know, because Shabbat is Friday is half a day. They're making twice as much as what they were making before. They're working 4.5 days and they have the weekends with the kid. Why? They took the step forward. It's happening every day. It's just if you're able to break away from that.
You don't have to convince me.
The blessing of Shabbat comes from a very heavenly place. It's called Ma'en HaBrachot. And we know that a blessing in a man's house comes through the wife. And I couldn't speak about Shabbat without mentioning the women that make it happen. Preparing for Shabbat is an all-week event. Come Tuesday and Wednesday, you see them already buying the fish and the meat. Thursday and Friday, they're already buying the bread and the vegetables. And on Friday, it's a mad dash to the finish. Practically all the way to candle lighting, sometimes even using that 18-minute red zone. The shopping, the cooking, the cleaning, just to honor this holy day of Shabbat. And it's ongoing. Shabbat is coming in a few days. And after that, it's coming again. And the Jewish woman, the righteous Jewish woman, make the Shabbat happen every week. And we know that there's a mitzvah that to buy something during the week and say that's for Shabbat, lichvot Shabbat. If you ever find yourself in a candy store, buy a candy, say, you know what, lichvot Shabbat, eat it on Shabbat. You go to Publix to buy milk, buy something else, you know what, here's lichvot Shabbat. Big mitzvah to constantly be in thought of Shabbat. And then when you come to Shabbat and you eat it, it's a big deal. I can't even begin to tell you. Get used to saying lichvot Shabbat. Get used to it. You go into any store, buy a shirt, you know what? Lichvot Shabbat. You know, you see a nice kippah, oh, lichvot Shabbat. You go into a candy store, lichvot Shabbat. You go into Publix, lichvot Shabbat. Everything. And when you buy the things for Shabbat, the wine, lichvot Shabbat. You have no idea the credit that you get. Instead of just saying, oh, I need to get food. That means it could be for Thursday, it could be for Friday, it could be for... No. Take and say, lichvot Shabbat. A bottle of water, lichvot Shabbat.
It's good for us to our husband. This is for Shabbat. It's good for Shabbat.
Yes. Something very interesting. We know that the woman, that for the woman, any mitzvah, shazman gerama, that is connected to time, the woman is not obligated to do. So the women have a lot of mitzvot that they don't need to do like the men. Well, like we spoke earlier in the class. However, there are 3 mitzvot that if a woman doesn't keep, God forbid, she can die during childbirth. We read it practically every Shabbat. For the Sephardics in the room, it says...
We read it or the women read it?
No, we read the Mishnah that states this. And then... read the...
This is the help that a woman should not chas v'shalom.
Right, look what it says over here. It says... כל ישראל יש להם חלק לעולם הבא שנאמר ואחר מכל הצגים במה מדליקים ומה אין מדליקים. This is something that you go into a Sephardic shul. It says over there על 3 עבירות נשים מתות בשעת לידתן. On 3 sins women die at the time of giving birth. על שאינן זהירות, when they are not careful, בנידה, family purity, ובחלה, chala, uvhadlakat hanir, and lighting the candles. Listen to this. A woman who's not careful with chala, when she's making chala for Shabbat, you need to do hafreshat chala. It's a mitzvah for a woman. On Shabbat, what's the job of a woman? To light the candles. And big deal over there that when a woman lights the candles to pray for her children, pray for her husband for long life. And he does family purity. Any woman knows that she has to do that whole 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, going to the mikveh. These are 3 things that a woman, if she's not careful with it, she can die while she's giving birth. Why? Because when a person is in danger, the Yetzer Hara goes upstairs and starts to prosecute. A woman, when she's giving birth, she's in big danger. She's in big danger. The body is going through crazy things right now. So what does he do? He goes up. She doesn't do challah. She doesn't light Shabbat candles. Complications, God forbid. You don't want that. So it says over here, God forbid, a woman can die if she's not careful with challah, nida, and adlakat hanir. Now, listen to this. Challah, chet. Nida, nun. Hadlakat hanir, hey. Chet, nun, hey. China. Do you guys ever go to a Moroccan thing called henna? You know what's a henna? It's not what we have today, where they come out with the cookies and they look like, you know, like the Iron Sheik, and she look like Aladdin and the princess. It was different back in the day. It wasn't like what you see today. Back in the day, the henna was when they took the woman before her wedding day, and they would teach her challah, nida, and hadlakat hanir. That's the original custom. That's where it comes from. The henna was teaching the woman before she got married the 3 very important mitzvot.
Instead of hummus, the henna.
So, in conclusion,
but it's not just Moroccan. The Turks also do it.
Whoever has that custom,
yeah,
it originally comes from that. How interesting. In conclusion, there is no day like Shabbat. Whether it's on the surface is a family and community day, or a spiritual main event that has the power to turbo boost your spirituality on a weekly basis. Keeping Shabbat is like keeping the whole Torah. It's our gift from Hashem for eternity. All the blessings to your life come from this day. Your success in the work week is connected to how you keep Shabbat. Once you feel the power of Shabbat, you can't live without it. You look forward to Shabbat all week. It's you want to get plugged in. You want to get to know what Shabbat means to you. Pray to Hashem to bring you back to Shabbat, to bring you back to Teshuvah, to bring you back to a mindset that you're enjoying your religion, that you're enjoying your Jewish culture, that you are living your renewed identity as an observant Jew, fulfilling your true purpose. Buy something on Tuesday. What Shabbat? Prepare yourself for the upcoming Shabbat spiritually, and begin your steps back to living connected with Shabbat being a big part of your life. It will bring you back. It will bring you back to your Jewish self, back to Hashem, back to the road to merit Olam Shekulo Shabbat. They say there's a world, the whole world is all Shabbat all the time. What world is that? Olam Haba. You want that. Is that Hashem that we should all merit that? שיטו ליבכם לחילה, פסגו אמנותה למטה, ספרו לדור אחרון, שהשם יברך אתכם, שמח אתכם. Thank you.